Okay, guys, before I get started, there are two questions that I want you to think. Have you ever had a pet cat who has given you the creeps by its strange personality? Have you ever overheard conversations about a person who has a mental mind, loving to torture innocent animals, especially to cats? Well, let me tell you that there is someone out there who will change that person's life for good. It's best for all of you to know about a story that I'm about to tell you from what I've experienced about this person or creature. Of course, this is a pretty long story that I want you to understand when I get to the beginning first. I'm a college student who comes from a wealthy family, so instead of moving to a dorm or an apartment, I lived on my own in a house that I bought, along with my dog Rocky, who keeps me company. The day that I bought the house was through the woods. A beautiful nature when it comes to daytime with the birds chirping, the small river running down the trail, and the property all to my own. I remember, before buying the house, it looked old inside and out, almost looking like it was abandoned for years. Thanks to my wealthiness, I got it fixed. As it turned out, good as new. Also gotta mention that if you drive a few blocks away from the house, you can see that there are nice neighborhoods. But the woods can be scary when it comes to night. Now on a Friday night, all peace and quiet, I had tons of essays due to make up, so that my low grade could rise. That's until Rocky started barking outside. She really doesn't bark much, but it sure was a distraction that I got up from my seat. I pushed the window up open as I stick my head out. Rocky! Rocky, stop that right now! My dog looked at me for a second, then turned her head back to where she was facing and continued to bark. I looked to see who or what she was barking at, but the view was so dark that I grabbed a flashlight from under my bed and headed outside. Rocky continued barking non-stop. I realized that she was very still, angled to the direction of the distance, like someone's there. I'm guessing it was probably someone I knew or just a random person. Now, thinking on my mind that the person is probably terrified to speak because of Rocky's aggressive bark, I speak out clearly, turning the flashlight switch as I scanned the forest. Hello? Who's there? No answer. Rocky stopped barking and walked back inside her doghouse. I'm guessing it was a squirrel or any small animal that dozed off. I went and petted Rocky on her head of how a good protective dog she is and got back to work in my room. The next day after school till dark, I drove and stopped by a restaurant to eat. As I sat to order my food, a loud bang came from the entrance door that made everyone turn their heads in surprise, catching their attention. At first, I thought it was going to be a robbery or a fight, but it was an old lady who was screaming for help. The way her behavior was made part of the hairs on my neck stand as I watched her grip one of the adults' shirts, shaking them with her strength, almost making them fall off their chair, telling them to protect their children. My God, this lady was going insane. Then things went crazy when she started to shake the crying kids, telling them to get rid of their cat. Getting rid of their cat. That line is what confused me. I glanced on her sweater that had many cat prints. I guessed that she was a crazy cat lady. Nothing was making sense, so I was assuming that she'll be called a crazy old psychopath. That's until the cops came right away and pinned her down to the ground when she tried to make a run for it, but begs for them not to send her to a mental hospital. Families left home right away while I was the only one who couldn't move from where I was sitting. The lady started to look around as if someone is about to come and attack her when she mentioned about a person who haunts her. That's when I hear all the details while the police look at each other in confusion as they ask her questions. Ma'am, what was that you said? Ears of a what now? A cat? Please, I'm not crazy. You've got to listen to me. My 20 cats have been scaring me until she came, she says, breathing heavily. But the police ask who was after her. She remained silent except for her terrifying breathing, not wanting to say anything. God damn, I felt like that was one of the most ridiculous things I ever heard that I lost it. I started to laugh as the cops looked at me as if I was stupid. I mean, come on. I know there can be weird unknown creatures anywhere. But hell, there could be no way that a human can have real cat form ears. Yes, this crazy old psychopath needs all the help she can get. So you think this is funny? One of the cops asked, walking towards me. I stopped laughing when he had an angry look glued to his face. I slowly shook my head as a gesture of no, then walked to the exit when I was told to go home. But the last thing that made my heart race was when the old lady screams to me, telling me to watch out for her as if she wants to attack me. I drive back home, hoping I'll never see her again. Throughout the days, I can't get that crazy old psychopath out of my head. I finished up every work during school so that I can have the rest of the day to relax and called two of my best friends, Jack and Nick, to come over. Later, as it got dark, they both came over at a right timing. I greeted them while Rocky jumps on them happily. We head inside and they tell me how a lucky guy I am, living in a nice house by myself. We sat down, having some food and drink, while we laugh about jokes, talking about hot chicks and the internet, and also the part when I started mentioning them about the crazy old psychopath. Jack and Nick expressive with their eyes widen as they listen. They tell me that was a crazy but weird story, especially when she mentions a person with cat ears. But I felt like I didn't want to talk about it no more, and it's best we go outside and build a fire. We easily put together some firewood and twigs as we light up the fire, as it starts to make crackling and sizzling sounds. The three of us began to talk about the memories we had when we were growing up together, especially the funny ones. I knew having Jack and Nick over was a good idea, that it helped me get the creeps go away. Later on, we noticed that the fire was slowly getting small, knowing we need to get more firewood. "I will go by myself," Jack said to me and Nick as we tell him that we'll go along with him together, but he refused. Well, we thought him not arguing about that, so we tell him to hurry back, not to get lost, as he nodded, turning the flashlight on from his phone and walks to the woods. After all, we trusted him because Jack is those types of people who finds things first easily than any others would. It sure has started to take a while that Nick and I have thought the same of going to go find him, till we heard a scream that made our blood run cold, a scream of terror that echoed through the whole forest. Nick and I knew that it was Jack, so we immediately got to our feet and ran, following the direction of the screams. As we reached to Jack, he was on the ground, while his leg was bleeding. Nick and I asked him what in the world happened, and he told us that something bit him with sharp teeth. I told Jack that it was probably a raccoon. "Does this look like a fucking raccoon would have a strong bite like that?" he shouted at me as he holds his leg, grunting in pain while he sweated. Nick and I thought that questions will have to wait and needed to take Jack to an emergency room. So we both helped him up by holding his arms around our shoulders and walked straight to the car. As we arrived to the hospital and Jack was getting his leg cured and bandaged, the bite marks was very deep. Nick and I sat on a chair right by him. We asked him what exactly happened if it wasn't an animal. Jack shook as he didn't even blink or looked at us. He said it was a creature with cat ears that bit him. He didn't really saw a good look at it, but saw that the ears were furry real that looked like it had a light hair color. This is what caused my eyes starting to widen. It was the same when that crazy cat lady mentioned. A creature with cat-formed ears. "Guys, I think it's true," Jack said as he had a terrified look on his face. I rolled my eyes, shaking my head like maybe he's trying to pull a prank of a lie like that on us. After leaving Jack to the hospital and Nick went home, I distinguished the fire that was left outside and went inside, going straight to bed. I looked outside my window, looking at the view of the dark trees. I started to rethink. What if the crazy cat lady was right? What if Jack is really saying the truth? There must be something out there in that forest that can be dangerous. It took a few hours for me to sleep till I finally got KO'd. Right when another day came by, I do the same as always, finishing up schoolwork and class. I come home and plop myself on the couch, turning the TV on. The channel of the news came on. I lay there and listened till it comes to a part where my heart sank from what I heard. A man who has a schizophrenic disorder has killed small kittens by hanging them around their necks with rope, leaving them to choke to death. My fucking gosh, I was already hoping that this guy gets locked up for the rest of his life. How could someone like him do such a horrible thing? And it comes to a part that said that this sick bastard has been missing for months and hasn't been found. Well, good. I hope his dumbass gets starved to death while he's lost somewhere out there. Later, Rocky constantly barks to me as a signal that she wants to go for a walk. I get up and walk to the woods with her without a leash. This is a part where I was so into nature that I don't even know where I was going. Till Rocky started barking to a far direction that I'll never forget what I saw. A dead man that was hanged with a rope around his neck while his body moved around very slowly. I stood froze. I had to choke back vomit as I took a few steps forward to get a closer look. What I saw horrified me. This person that I recognized was the man from the news on TV, the one who tortured the kittens. And just by looking at him, I realized that both of his arms and legs were missing, so it couldn't be suicide. Someone must have did this to him. Now to my curiosity, I wonder who now? Now everything seems confusing. It looked like he got punished for what he did. What really made me feel so unsure if I should call the cops or not? I decided not to, so I ran off with Rocky back home. After all, it was too far away, and he deserved it. I really had trouble sleeping every night. Like, what the hell is going on? One night, I got a call from my aunt. She invited me to a fancy soiree party. I started to pick out one of my fanciest suits and started to get dressed. I fixed my hair with gel and spray cologne on me. I stood looking at myself in the mirror and thinked if I should mention anything to my family. But I thought I shouldn't. After all, a party is for everyone to have a good time, especially the fancy ones, so yeah, my lips are sealed. I grabbed my car keys and left the house, locking the front door, and hopped inside my car, driving to the location, following the GPS direction. And once I got there, I sat with my family by a table and began to happily talk together. My parents have asked me how was college and the new house I lived in. I just wish I could tell them that strange things have been happening, but I just tell them that it's good. Keeping this from my family was giving me a bad feeling in me, so I grabbed a shot from a guy that was walking around with a tray of small glasses of liquor. I didn't want to drink because I'm driving home later, so I thought having 1 or 2 shots won't be bad. That's until I felt another hand touch mine. I looked, seeing a man grabbing the last glass on the tray. "Oops, I'm sorry about that, sir," I say to him, pulling my hand away so he can have it. He told me it was okay and asked if I was enjoying the party. I nodded as I watched him drink. He then introduces himself to me as I'd done the same. I started to have conversations with this nice guy and realized he is good friends with one of my family members. Later, after the party was over, I said goodbye to my family and the guy I spoke to and drove back home. I felt so tired, I took my suit off, leaving on with my boxers, and blacked out once I plopped to bed. I woke up at 3 a.m. from a shriek that sounded like some sort of animal. I couldn't tell what it was by the screech, but I didn't worry much about it because I thought it was probably an animal hunting for its prey or maybe 2 cats mating. I woke up a little late as I did my things immediately right after doing everything I could to get things done. I go outside to feed Rocky. That's until I notice her dark fur is somewhat wet and dry at the same time. I went to touch it. It felt a bit oily. "Rocky, what is this?" I asked my dog as I looked at my fingers that was smudged in dried blood. "What the hell?" I felt concerned. I checked around my dog to see if she had any cuts on her, but luckily she doesn't. Now I was wondering where the blood came from, so I looked around till I saw something lying on the ground. I walked close to it, and what it was that came from the screams last night was a cat. Rocky killed this stray cat. I know she's protecting the house, but I wasn't thinking that what she did to this poor cat was right. I couldn't have it there, so I grabbed the shovel and picked it up, leaving it close to a tree where I won't see it. I'm so sorry. May you rest in peace in a better place. That night, I woke up at 3 a.m. again. As I sat up froze, hearing a faint sound of somebody crying. It sounded like a woman, and it sounded like it was coming from outside. I started to wonder what could have happened to her that makes her be out there at this time. Maybe she's lost. Maybe she's running away from someone. Maybe she needs help. Because that didn't sound like a scrape cry. It was more of a heartbreaking cry, so I couldn't just ignore that. As the crying grew louder, I got up, putting my shirt and pants on, and walked outside with my flashlight on my hand. I noticed Rocky was up and started growling when she heard the crying. Shh, Rocky! I shushed her as I slowly turned the doorknob and opened it slowly as the door squeaked, then closed it behind me. Hello? I said as I walked with my flashlight on. The crying grew even louder, knowing I'm walking close, but then it turned into a gasp. I couldn't see the woman in the dark, and I didn't want to scare her more by putting the light on her, so I just kept it facing to the ground. It's okay, miss. Don't be scared. Now look, I live here. Maybe I could... That's when she started to run away, and I tried to chase after her, but tripped down to the ground on something. I knew I couldn't stop her from the darkness, and her fast footsteps were slowly going silent. I pointed the flash to check what I tripped on, and it was the dead cat that Rocky killed. Was this for real? Was she crying over this cat? No, I think I'm just overreacting. I mean, it's so dark out here, I could barely see anything. Besides, that woman was gone already, but I hoped she'll be okay out there on her own. Now I have been starting to feel paranoid every night, or day, or any fucking time that strange things have been happening. Here is the part of the day when I saw her. Rocky has started to go missing as I spent a whole night trying to look for her. She would never run away or leave, but I was so confused as to what made her disappear out of nowhere just like that. 5:30 a.m. without any sleep. I searched around everywhere carrying a wooden slingshot with me, which is the only weapon I had, as I ran through the woods, climbing on rock hills, passing through rivers, not caring how far away I am from my house, while every minute I call out Rocky's name. I soon started to hear an aggressive bark. I followed it while I felt happy that she was okay, but my smile dropped as I heard a whimper that echoed through the whole forest as I watched birds fly away to the sky from the trees. I ran, still calling Rocky's name, trying to find her, feeling worried. I found Rocky on the ground, not moving. Rocky! I shouted, feeling my eyes getting watery. Rocky was dead. Her fur was covered in blood, with her stomach sliced cut open and her organs all over, and her mouth was wide open as if someone broke her jaw badly. I lost it and dropped down to my knees along with my head down, crying, letting it all out while no one could hear me. I then slowly picked my head up and raged with anger as I noticed that Rocky was missing a leg. I get back on my feet and ran to look for the person or whatever sick asshole that did this to my dog. After I tried to look for evidence, I couldn't find anything but continued to run to find the search. That's until I saw a figure from a far distance. I hid it behind a tree as I took a good look at the person. It was a woman. I could just tell because of the body shape, but it's not the point of that. I started to figure it was a hooker just by the way she was dressed. A tight gray shirt with her breast hanging out that looked like those corsets that you'll buy from Hot Topic. A very mini black skirt with those thigh-high socks, like the ones you see the Victoria's Secret models wear, along with black wedges. As I looked at her hair, it was half white mixed with light purple or a light lavender gray. Now, the last appearance that I saw about her was that she had cat ears that were the same color as her hair. My eyes widened as I saw that they were real because I saw one of them twitched, so I hit it again in case she would hear a small sound. I watched her sit as I saw the profile of her face. Her eyes were pitch black with an iris red color. Her nose was cat-formed, and I was so sure I saw whiskers on her cheeks. My eyes started to burn in flames as I watched her munch and crunch on a dog's leg. That was Rocky's leg. This bastard killed my dog! I took out my wooden slingshot out as I quietly picked up a rock. Hey! I shouted as I watched her head turn towards me in surprise, then shooted the rock straight to her forehead as her head rolled back, almost falling. She raised her head, looking straight back at me again, then makes a scary loud cougar scream, revealing her bloody sharp teeth. Fuck, I knew I was dead. I started to run away, knowing she's chasing after me. I started to feel so scared when I hear her make a scary laugh behind my back, until I reached to a giant waterfall with a big long drop. I look back, seeing this crazy creature getting closer to me, ready to sink her nails and teeth on me. I had no choice but to commit suicide by jumping down the waterfall. I soon blacked out when I felt my head hit real hard on something when I splashed to the river. I woke up seeing the blue sky, but very blurred. I sat up, all soaked and wet, as I ended up on the shore. My head was still bleeding, but surprisingly, I wasn't dead. I felt like I was very far from my house, but I see that it was close by when I see a blurry view from it. I slowly got up and started to walk, but felt pretty wobbly. I just need some rest. I didn't forget about that creature, though. I felt glad that I got away, but I hope that she will not find me again. I haven't gotten any sleep for 3 days. Every minute, I always look behind me or next to me after seeing that cat person. Sometimes I stay indoors without going outside. I have been missing school lately. Sometimes I go and stay in my closet for a whole night, feeling that she will find me. Turns out it wasn't a joke when I think about the victims who has seen her. I wondered if there's anyone else who know about this creature, who this creature really is, because she looks somewhat like a human being, but her face features look like it's something hard to believe. Sometimes when I have to go out, I try to not say a word to anyone about it. I sometimes end up letting my anger out at people due to my crankiness. One night, I finally got some sleep again and started to have nightmares about her. I soon started to feel a bit better. I went to an animal shelter to adopt a new pet. I walk in and pass by looking at each dog, taking my time to pick out the perfect one. But then, something caught my attention. I glanced at this one cat. Wow, she was so beautiful than any other cat I've seen. I looked at her for a good minute as I walked to get a closer look. I look at her information paper as it shows her name was Lilac. It says she is lovable, sweet, cuddly, and I noticed that she has been here in the shelter by far the longest than the dogs. I felt pretty bad. I didn't want to keep her here, but I couldn't resist her beautiness either. I made my choice. I'll take her home. I directly signed the adoption papers and drove her home. Although I never really liked cats much because I was more of a dog person, but Lilac looks unique. Of course, Rocky would never be replaced, but I sure don't want to be alone. Besides, I'm glad I'm gonna try something new with a new pet. I just hoped having a cat would be as good as having a dog. Now here's where things start to go strange and scary. It took time for me getting used to Lilac, but it didn't take her long getting comfortable with me, so it wasn't really so bad having a cat. At some point, cats can be cute and cuddly, but they sure can be scary. I say that because Lilac has been scaring me over the night times. I wake up to get a drink of water. I spot Lilac at the dark end of the hallway, sitting still, staring straight at me with turquoise eyes. I was dead confused because I remember her eyes were light yellow. I started to think that it was probably a seasonal thingy, but I wasn't sure if that's a possibility for cats. When this keeps happening, something just wasn't right. She stared straight at me without blinking. Her head turned slowly, following my movements wherever I go while her body was still like a stone. Another night, I thought I heard something that was inside the house. I thought it was some freaking burglar robbing my house. I got up with a baseball bat, then out of nowhere, Lilac jumped on my face like those animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's. "Don't do that! Go away! Shoo! Shoo!" And another night, I wake up seeing Lilac staring at me while I was asleep with those turquoise eye colors sometimes close to me, like as if she's staring straight into my soul. It was strange, but there was one that I never knew a cat would do. Lilac scratches the window while she makes a meowing cry, a very weird one. She wouldn't shut up that she could do it for a long time. It's like as if she wanted to go with someone. I had to deal with it because I lost my dog once. I don't want to lose Lilac either. One day, I realized Lilac has left the house after I tried looking for her everywhere inside. Damn stupid cats, I sighed, face palming my face. I didn't bother to go out there and waste my time looking for her to the woods, so I bet Lilac was dead already. That's until the night came. I heard my window open, then walked seeing Lilac jump inside as she looks at me walking towards me, while I look at her with disappointment. "Where have you been, Missy?" I asked, looking down at her with my hands on my hips. Lilac starts to lick her paws as if nothing happened, then started to rub herself around my legs while she purred. It was weird, but thankfully she was alright. I also seen that her eye color changed back to light yellow again. I shrugged and just picked her up in my arms while she scratched my cheek with her tongue and let her sleep in my bed. But this didn't happen once. The bags from under my eyes look bad. I can't sleep anymore. I haven't even opened the letters I've received that it was time for me to open one of them. I spotted this one letter that I never recognized when I was collecting the others. It was said, "To John, from somebody." I was confused that it was a letter from a mystery person without a name on the envelope. With curiosity, I ripped off the envelope, taking out a folded paper and opened it up to read it. The letters looked somewhat crooked. I couldn't tell whose handwriting it belonged to because it was all scribbled as if the person was writing it in a hurry. I slowly started to read the letter carefully.
"Dear John, I suppose you haven't remembered me, that I'm the guy you met at the sorority party. The reason why I'm writing this letter is because I want to leave off with a warning with this person who has cat ears. Yes, I know about her. I've been hearing from one of your friends of what you're going through, and I want to apologize to what's happening. You see, when I was young, I was a new student at the school, where I met a girl who was different than anyone else I saw. And that girl is the cat creature that everyone is so afraid of. I remember her name is Dawn. You might think this is some joke, prank, or some made-up story, but it really isn't. I still remember the day I felt her ears. They were so soft and real that she was born to have them. She doesn't have human ears like we all do. She was really different than any other human being we know. I remember she tried hiding her ears and bruised face, and I really did what I could to cheer her up. My point to tell you, John, is that honestly, I don't know what happened to Dawn, but I felt like it was my fault. I didn't mean to hurt her from a mistake I did, and I never heard from her again until the day happened, when I started to get haunted by her. She finds me and talks to me in my nightmares. She really wouldn't go away at all, so I had to lie to my wife that I was going on a business trip, just so Dawn wouldn't hurt her nor my kids. Every time when I take a walk in the street, I always spot different types of stray cats that stare straight into my eyes with those turquoise eyes. That used to be Dawn's eye color. And I found out that whoever owns a cat, she spies owners through the cat's eyes and follows the location to any house where a house cat lives. Although I don't own a cat, but she still watches and follows me all the time, which always makes me feel so miserable that I want it to end. I tried getting it off by drinking and did other things I could to ignore her. But she threatens me that if I don't do the things she tells me, she'll kill me and all the people I love. She wants me to take my own life so I can pay for the mistake I did years ago. I'm very sorry again, John. I know we only met once, but I just felt like it's better that you'll know everything so that you won't fall for her sinister tricks, because she haunts the people who owns a cat. I don't know what else I could tell you of the detail of it, but I really have been feeling so terrified. It was really nice knowing you, John. Please be careful out there and stay safe. Sincerely, Zach.
After reading the letter, I received a phone call from one of my family members and told me the bad news that Zach killed himself. I soon dropped my phone when I turned around, backing up against the wall when I saw Lilac sitting there, staring right at my eyes with that soul-eating turquoise eyes of hers. Dawn's been watching everything I do. I walked and shooed her away once I closed the door. This was really going sinister. I opened up my laptop to do an investigation about that Dawn creature. I began with my research. I started typing. People with cat ears. I scrolled down and clicked on each website. One of them say about people in Japan having obsession with cats, and the other talking about making anime shows more popular by making the characters having cat ears to act cute. I sighed, seeing this isn't the information I was looking for. I then started typing the history about cats combined with humans, and clicked enter. Again, I scrolled down and read different answers about Egyptian cats and how humans are created. I tried again, clicked on a website, clicking different images of Japanese girls wearing kitty ears that were either hair clips or a headband with a cat tail. I rolled my eyes and pinched the bridge of my nose. This is really getting tiresome, but I keep on trying. Demonic cats, cats that killed. Humans born to have cat features. People possessed by demonic cats. Information of cat witches. So much hours doing researches, but still no answer about it. I started to wonder where exactly Dawn was born, or if her birth mother had cat ears too, or her father had a rare unknown gene or something. I kept thinking so hard that I ended up falling asleep on my desktop. I was having a strange dream of something biting me. I woke up seeing Lilac chewing up my fingers as they were wet with my own blood, but this time, her eye color were back to normal. I snatched my hand away and backed up, falling off my chair. This wasn't really a normal thing that a cat would do. I wasn't sure how the door opened by itself. I shooed Lilac again, closing the door once more, and played some relaxing music as I sat on the floor, holding my legs close to my chest, watching the door, not wanting to look away from it till the sun rised, then went on ahead to buy weapons. Yes, I have a license. In the evening, Nick and I went for a walk to the woods with a shotgun in our hands to go on a hunt for Dawn. I kept myself calm while Nick was paranoid. Every minute we swing our shotgun around our legs just to avoid getting bit. We both tried to stay quiet while Nick tried having a conversation just to get the fears go away. That's until he heard a sound.
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
That!
Stay calm. If we don't move a muscle, maybe she won't hurt us. We both start to hear a purring sound. It was getting closer. I slowly reloaded my shotgun, ready to let out a bullet. Then Nick screamed after hearing a roar of a cougar that came from behind us. He dropped his own shotgun and squeezed the bare pepper spray handle as I knew Dawn did a scream of pain but ran off as I quickly let out a few bullets. Damn it. I knew I missed. Nick pulls my arm and screams to run, leaving his own gun on the dark ground. We both ran as fast as we could while we could already feel that little creep chasing after us. Nick and I were really fast runners because we both did tracking together back in high school, so we used all our speed while the wind hits our faces. And out of the blue, I watched a shadow running close to me as I blocked my face with my hand and felt my blood trickling down to my arm from a scratch that felt like a sharp blade cutting deep into my skin. I let out a scream, then whacked Dawn in the face with my shotgun. Nick and I continued running till we reached back to the house. Nick immediately ran inside his car without saying anything and drove off fast without me. I didn't bother to say anything to him. I wanted to hide. I ran right upstairs to my room, picked Lilac up and hid it inside the closet as I breathed heavy. Still having the shotgun in my hand, I hear that shit horror laugh from outside my window that I covered Lilac's eyes just before they changed color. I closed my own eyes, shaking while sweat dripped down my face as I waited for her to come in and kill both of us. But moments later, it was all silence. I was thinking, either if I should make the choice to open the closet door, or stay there till the sun rises. I slowly peeked out of my dark room, then slowly come out, still having my hand placed into Lilac's eyes as she didn't bother to move her head sideways. I sighed in relief that the coast was clear, thinking Dawn was finally gone again.
I'm still here, you know.
Holy shit! That voice came from behind me as my blood ran cold with the hairs on my back of my neck stand. That voice was scarier than the ones you hear in the horror films. I knew it was dead, so I dropped myself to the floor, pushing myself back against the corner of the wall. Dawn, I know I haven't done anything bad to you or your kind, but just get out of my house and leave me alone, I say in a shaky way, not wanting to look straight up at her even if the room was so dark.
Your house? You mean mine?
What the hell are you talking about?
I used to live here.
I couldn't believe I was actually talking to that thing. I wanted her to go away, so I continued listening to her. I was having trouble to speak while holding Lilac on my arms with my head down.
It hurts, don't it? Now you know how it feels.
Please, go away. I'll do anything. I won't tell anyone. Just please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. I say, already starting to sob.
Oh, right. Yeah, I believe you.
What do you want from me?
First, put my child down.
That line, I knew she was talking about Lilac. I couldn't reject her command, so I did what she told me to do. I slowly placed Lilac down, hearing her mini pitter-patter running close to Dawn, making a happy meow. There, I put her down. If you're planning to kill me, here, just do it. Just do it quick. I shut my eyes real tight as I feel her slowly walking close to me as she crouched down, moving inches close to my face, feeling her breathing on the side of my cheek. My heart pounded as I was ready till she says her last words.
You tell anyone about what's happening right now, I will kill you and your whole family and friends, just like the others.
I then opened my eyes as I looked around, seeing that she nor Lilac is nowhere to be seen. Dawn didn't kill me. She has disappeared. The morning I packed up all my things and drove off somewhere very far, far away, not wanting to put a for sale sign. My heart continues pounding. My lips stay shut that I won't dare to say anything to my family or anyone. I'm probably already dead that I may not say it, but I am sharing. I suggest you all to take my advice. Never adopt the cat as a pet at all. But if you already own one, she's already watching you.